Hello there, and welcome to Softly Listening. Thank you for joining me today. We've been talking a lot these past few weeks about change, and more recently about when we begin to make this shift within ourselves, we actually start to move away from some of the darker places in our life, which may mean circumstances that are not really very healthy or good for us, circumstances that no longer inspire us, circumstances that weigh us down. And often in those circumstances, we have become so comfortable, even if that space is a negative space, that the comfort of just being in somewhere that is familiar to us becomes an easier thing to do than to cross this beautiful bridge to this new path that's waiting for us to arrive. So one of the reasons as human beings that we possibly don't get on board with change is it's simply more comfortable, more familiar, more safe to stay in a pattern that you've always had. But if you think of change as simply this beautiful rainbow bridge, and you're really learning how to navigate your way across this bridge from this side of the river to that side of the river, it's not so hard to do. Because if you can learn to take one step at a time, then you can certainly learn to make one small change at a time. And often the patterns that we have lived with, whatever circumstance we may currently be playing out, those circumstances are often learned behaviours that come from way back in our life. We don't always even remember or recall making certain inner decisions with ourselves that we were going to do life this way because this was safe. We don't actually even remember what fired that thought off. So this is about not taking it all so seriously. It's about having some fun with this. It's about literally going, what can I do different for myself today that I feel I want to do? Instead of overthinking the situation and making change a serious, heavy kind of process to go through, why not make change something that's just unexplored and exciting? You don't know every road you've ever driven down, but you drove down the road because you were going or trying to get to some other destination. So you trusted yourself to navigate down the road. And all you're doing in your life is trusting yourself to navigate a new road, to cross that beautiful rainbow bridge from this set of behaviours to how can I really open up to what I feel I need to address with myself. The one thing you cannot do is you cannot have change if you keep doing the same thing day in and day out. That's just an insanity that the human race has. They keep doing the same thing day in and day out and expect a different result. You can't possibly have a different result because you're behaving in the same way as you did yesterday. So instead of making this a difficult process and kind of getting very serious and losing all your joy, this is about finding your joy. And when we really start to become honest with ourselves, and that is a very hard thing also for human beings to do, is to get very honest about, well, this is what I feel, and what am I going to do about that? How am I going to action myself to feeling differently? When we can start to really look at that at a moment-to-moment basis, then very gently, a little bit at a time, one tiny step at a time, we start to move through the emotional scale and start to feel good every time we do something a little different to ourselves. I work with people all the time and they can't even walk around the park in a different direction. So how can you possibly have a different outcome in your life if you can't even walk around the park one day in a different direction? This is about changing your direction, about wanting to bring forward a joyous, well, abundant experience in your life. I might not like having to do these videos every day, but it's becoming an exciting thing to learn. So, how can you do one thing today that's going to assist you? I'll talk to you again really soon. Bye for now.